Hello everyone, welcome to Bitcoin Not Crypto. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about STRK, which is the perpetual preferred stock that MicroStrategy issued. I did make a video about this previously, discussing sort of the details about the conversion price and all of this kind of stuff. Some of those numbers are out of date because they ended up discounting the initial price and then getting oversubscribed. So it's kind of like a lot of people were kind of saying, oh, how is it oversubscribed if it's discounted? It's kind of like when you buy in bulk, you kind of get a discount. So they decided to do $80 instead of $100. In my previous video, I was doing the numbers off 100. So those numbers are slightly incorrect, but the entire process is the same. So you can go to that for some of the more details. I want to talk today about the volume, about the price, about the future of Strike. And I'm going to just bring up this chart here. This is a 15-minute chart of the entire trading days of STRK. So we don't have that much information. This is only 2.5 days of trading so far. We're almost at the end of the day. So almost 3 days here. These blue lines here are volume, and you can see the volume was picking up and kind of hit a peak where it kind of went sideways here along this price action. And then the weekend happened and the volume was slow this morning and kind of gradually growing. And this volume is 3.43 million. And we can see that is the same as on Thursday at 4 o'clock. So the ending date. So this first day here of the week is the same kind of trajectory you can kind of see as the first day of trading as well. We'll see if this picks up and, the second day of trading ends up looking like the second day of this week. We'll see, but we can see here the price action is another interesting point that I want to talk about. They initially offered this at $80. And right away, when it started trading on the secondary market, it spiked all the way up to a peak, which it hasn't hit again yet, at $90. And then down all the way, you could have gotten this discounted. Well, it's not that discounted at $84. So the people that bought this, before the secondary market, have already are in profit and actually haven't seen any paper losses yet. So it's, there's these gaps within the day. There's a large gap here, and we're now trading at $89.58. Now, what this does is this makes it so that the yield that you get, the starting yield, the amount in dollar terms is the same, but the percentage is less because the price of these shares have gone up from $80 to essentially $90. We actually know that because the authorized shares got increased for the preferred stock as well, that Saylor and the team at Strategy are able to issue more of these into the market and essentially take that capital that they get from selling these shares, these preferred stock shares, and buy Bitcoin with it. So we can see proof of that because the initial offering was just over $500 million, and they got that immediately. And then they had 2 days of being able to do ATMs. So MicroStrategy announced this morning, I'm recording this on Monday, I'll be releasing it Tuesday. So you can kind of see here that they bought $742 million worth of Bitcoin, and 500 and somewhat million of that was directly from the initial offering of these perpetual preferred stocks. The rest would be from ATM of either more preferred or just common share equity. So this is interesting. 7,633 Bitcoin. He's had smaller purchases, bigger purchases. We can look at the purchasing tab here. The previous purchase before that was for 10,000 Bitcoin at 1.1 billion. So we didn't crack the billion mark, but there was a blackout period before earnings, and they only had 2 days of being able to issue shares and buy Bitcoin with that. So this is a great tweet by Strategy B Eternal. Just looking at the volume of Strike is quite amazing, as they just listed in a week. Some trades have been done over the counter. The volume is around 233 1.83 million for the past 1 week of trade. If Saylor taps 3% of it for ATM, they can easily raise $209 million for 1 month. I believe the volume is going to go up even higher as this strike is way undervalued. If the volume is 4x's, he can raise 500 million per week with no immediate dilution to MSTR common equity. So there will be future dilution based on the idea of paying these dividends quarterly, and that the payments will probably end up coming from diluting the common shareholders or by adding more preferred stocks. So there's future dilution. But again, I explained this in the previous video about this, but they're able to bring a ton of money up to the current time, like today, by issuing these, and they pay that dividend out over time. And it takes basically, if nothing else moves, it's going to take around 10 years for the entire amount of dollar terms to be dilutive. Then after 10 years, it will be a dilutive process. So with that, right, if they're able to buy Bitcoin today and over the next 10 years that Bitcoin raises in price, then that amount of years that it takes for that to have been dilutive extends out even further than 10 years. If the price of these shares go up, if some of them convert, if there's all sorts of variables within there, and it's actually going to take a lot longer than that for this strategy to be not very effective, right? It's very accretive, this strategy. And the other thing too, right, is this is nominal terms. So what will that dividend, what will that 8% actually buy you in purchasing power in 10 years compared to today, right? We all know fiat is going to trend to zero against Bitcoin. And so if they can bring money into the future by selling a lot of these shares now and pay that fiat back over term as that fiat diminishes in purchasing power, and they have acquired the soundest, most best asset ever created. So it's a very good strategy. And what they're talking about here in this tweet is how much money they're going to be able to raise. So $209 million per month if he taps 3% of the ATM, depending on the amount of volume. So that's kind of why I brought this volume chart up to begin with, is we can kind of see it's kind of almost the same as the first day of this week is the same as the first day of trading. Will we see an increase in volume as this tweet predicted? We will have to wait and see. This will be something to look at and something that is interesting, because then we can know how much money is going to be raised, and we will know a little bit more of an estimate of maybe how much of the buy per week that strategy tends to do is done by tapping the ATM of the preferred shares. And we can know that that's very accretive. It's also a very positive sign that we have seen the price of these preferred shares go up, because when tapping the ATM, it's going to be even more effective, right? Strategy is able to get $90 per share if they're, issuing any shares right now, as opposed to $80 per share when they did their initial offering. So as this price rises, it's going to become more and more effective. It's very hard to predict interest rates and things like that, but we can kind of see that there's a lot of activity that is trying to push interest rates lower. And as interest rates get lower, traditional debt instruments start paying less of a yield, and the value of those debt instruments go up. And that spills over to other interest-bearing, income-bearing instruments like preferred shares. So if interest rates go down, we will see the price of these preferred shares go up. And as I already stated, when the price is higher, strategy gets more dollars per share of issuance, and that becomes more accretive, and they can buy more Bitcoin with it as long as Bitcoin's price stays relatively the same, which we cannot expect either. We're in a bull market. We can see there's a lot of demand for Bitcoin, and there's a lot of big money and big players coming into Bitcoin. So stack it while it's low, in my opinion. That's what I'm doing. I'm dollar cost averaging. I'm doubling down as much as possible, knowing that this is a long-term asset that will appreciate rapidly over a long period of time, just as Saylor is doing, and just as Saylor knows, which is why he's basically shorting the dollar by issuing debt. He's selling his own shares, which are essentially like a $2 or $3 bill for $1. He's issuing these preferred and bringing a ton of money up front and paying that money back over time with the dividends. And he knows that the dollar amount of those dividends is going to be less and less in purchasing power compared to the Bitcoin he's able to stack today. This is the ultimate arbitrage in my eyes, and we can do this on a personal level, and MicroStrategy can do this on a corporate level, and we can get involved in any amount of ways that we like within that. And personally, I love MicroStrategy. I hold it in my my registered accounts where I only have the other option of holding Bitcoin ETFs. I prefer my strategy over that. And the other money that I have, I put directly into Bitcoin, which goes to cold storage, and I do that with the help of these sponsors, which I'll give a shout out to right now. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you wanted to support this channel, the best way to do so is by becoming a member. You get access to replays of my live streams, exclusive members only content. Depending on when you're watching this, that will be 21 steps to Bitcoin mastery. It's not available as of recording this, but maybe by the time you're watching this or into the future, I'll be releasing those. Also, you can support this show by checking out the sponsors, all linked below. Bitcoin Well, which offers non-custodial Bitcoin, which means you send them money, they send you Bitcoin directly with the lowest spread in Canada and the US. They have non-KYC options available. And if you use my link in the description, you'll actually get some free bonus Bitcoin. And of course, Stampseed, the best possible way, in my opinion, to store your generational wealth and your seed phrase, which is this small little titanium plate that is easy to conceal, fireproof, crush proof. You can throw anything at it, it'll weather it, and you can stamp your seed with their kit, and you can actually get 15% off of that kit by using my code BTC Not Crypto 15. Thanks again.